Welcome to PACTV Community News. I'm Zach Dolan.
And I'm Julie Thompson.
Welcome back to PCN. We have a great show for you this week.
We attend the dedication ceremony of Duxbury Police Department Officer Dyer and discuss work zone and traffic detail safety. We also say goodbye to the Lobsters down on the Plymouth Waterfront.
Our producers Maureen, Boyle, and Cicchetti head over to Plympton to bring you some lighthearted tips on how to survive a corn maze this fall.
And we have Chris Cooper and Marianne Leone on set, two of the executive producers of Intelligent Lives, a film that challenges what it means to be intelligent. But we're excited to be back, and we start tonight's program in Plymouth. With the help of the Plymouth Fire Department, the Plymouth Public Health Director secured funding for a machine that will sanitize and shred any needles. The machine is located at the Plymouth Central Fire Station, and the public is encouraged to drop off their used and unwanted needles. PCN stopped by to learn more.
The need is huge. I can't overemphasize that enough because based on my estimates, within the town of Plymouth alone, we could see at least 300,000 needles in the community. And that's at a minimum, and upwards up to at least 500,000 to 600,000. Been seeing the disease trends associated with needle disposal, which is hepatitis C and hepatitis B. I was able to articulate that need before a capital improvements request to the town manager, and also convey that need with the fire department as a partner to make sure that we implement this.
Right now, the machine that the town owns is at Central Fire Station, which is 114 Sandwich Street. We have a kiosk outside the building, so you don't even have to come into the building, where you can drop off the needles in the shops. And we do keep another one inside, an inside kiosk, if somebody does want to come in and chat. We've located the machine where it's easy to get to, and you don't have to interact with anybody if you don't want to. We just want your needles. The safest place for a shop is at the Plymouth Fire Station headquarters.
So until a person gets a medically compliant needle disposal container, they can actually dispose of it into their own plastic jug, whether it be a milk jug, an orange juice jug, a detergent jug, and they can put them in there and bring that to the fire station. And they can give it to the firefighters, or they can put it in the anonymous drop-off location. And that way, no one ever has to touch a needle. They do not need to empty the needles into any device or into any other containers. They just bring the needles as is inside of a container, and they will receive a medically compliant container to keep their needles in. I have to stress that because we want to make sure that people aren't poking a product themselves with any needles and risking transmitting any disease amongst themselves or anyone else. And that's the biggest thing about this, is that it reduces disease transmission and also reduces any type of other injuries associated with needles or any medical waste. The sterilist needle disposal machine is what it is called. And this needle machine will take any needle, this box or a jug or container that you have at home, and it will crush the needles and sterilize them, and it will turn them into plastic mache that is safe to be used, to be recycled or disposed of. So it eliminates the user from ever having to touch a needle and dispose of it, and it eliminates anyone operating the machine from ever having to touch that needle. And it's very low cost, power efficient, and you press a button, you walk away, and it does all the work for you. Being able to get the needles off of the street is a huge priority to protect, children and people in their homes who use needles for diabetics uses, veterinarian uses to take care of the cats or their dogs, and also illicit drug use.
We needed to be self-sufficient, the town did, not being reliant upon a contract that could go up on a regular basis, and not have to be finding a place where we can store all these needles in between pickups. This minute we get it, sterilize it, shred it, it's in the regular rubbish and gone. We want everybody to know you can come here, you can get rid of them, no questions asked, and we'll give you a container.
This past August marked 10 years since the tragic death of Duxbury police officer Melvin Dyer at the Marshfield Fair. In 2008, Officer Dyer was struck and killed by a car that failed to stop while he was on traffic duty at the fair. The Duxbury police held a special ceremony to honor the fallen officer, and PCN was there to learn more about Melvin Dyer and also talk about how this incident has changed safety regulations regarding police in traffic and work zones.
Today we unveiled a memorial stone on the 10-year anniversary, essentially, of the death of Officer Mel Dyer. To date, he's the only Duxbury police officer to die in the line of duty. Mel was a part-time officer for us, a special police officer, and who had done a career in the military, in the Marine Corps, and came back and was looking for service, local service to the community. How can he give back, that kind of thing. And he came on board with us as a part-time reserve officer and fulfilled those duties and all the things that come with it. And tragically, he made the ultimate sacrifice. I think there's been a lot of lessons learned from this incident and another of sort of some high-profile incidents where police officers in work zones or construction workers in work zones that have been either killed or seriously injured. So there's, I think we've changed a lot of our process, and there's been some legislation to sort of enhance workplace safety. Most notably recently was the slow down, move over, not necessarily a construction zone, but we have a number of particularly troopers that are victimized by those types of crashes. But we've done some things with work zone violations and just education to slow down. You're going through one of those areas, the signs are up, there's a police officer or a flagman in that area. Slow down, pay attention to what the what the officer is doing, is the direction he's trying to give, and remember that they're dealing with both sides of the traffic. So I think what folks tend to do at times when the officer turns their back to them to then give direction to the oncoming folks, sometimes take that as the signal to go. And in a lot of cases, that ends up with tragic results, either accidents, injuries, or essentially what we had here 10 years ago. I think that Senator O'Connor and Representative Cutler, I think both really hit it when they talked about the the commitment of the police officer. And Reverend Cullen mentioned that very, very aptly, that in this situation, what is certainly a very routine or mundane task, directing traffic at the fair, she said that there really is no routine service when you're in public safety, when you're in law enforcement. And I think that's right to the point.
It's fall, and to celebrate the season, PCN stopped into Sawchuck Farm in Plympton. During the fall, the farm features a massive corn maze. PCN got lost bringing you this story.
Sawchuck Farm, established in 2002, is a 200-acre vegetable and berry farm located in Plympton. But the real draw to the farm is the corn maze, which opened in 2007 as the first large-scale corn maze south of Boston. Today, the farm offers a variety of activities and attracts thousands of people from the region.
Started out as a tiny 2-window ticket shack and a corn maze and maybe one other activity. This is first generation, so a lot of people come in and say, oh, I remember coming here 20 years ago. I remember the owner's dad. Didn't happen because he was the first person to establish this farm here. So he started out with a produce farm down the street, and then this came a few years later. We have a 9-acre corn maze. We also have a lot of activities for the kids to do. Jumping pillows. We've got an area called the Destruction Zone, which right now is comprised of pumpkin blasters, where you shoot a mini pumpkin at a target, and also the OK Corral, where you shoot, it's like a paintball gun, and you shoot little foam balls at each other. And we also have actual paintball down there as well. And we've got several rides. We've got the hay ride that brings you out to the pumpkin patch. We also have the cow train that just brings you on a little ride, little barrels that are painted to look like cows. And we've got lots of food that people come here for too. So apple cider donuts and kettle corn are two of the most popular food items that we sell. We have a lot of families that come, but we also have high school students, we've got college students, we've got grown couples that come, and they really enjoy the challenge of the maze. So I think people, especially in New England, really like to be able to come do an outdoor activity in the fall. My advice for surviving the corn maze is have patience. Probably visit the restroom before you go in and bring a map. Because even with a map, it's pretty tough. It takes most people about 45 minutes to get through.
For your convenience, we assembled a list of tips and tricks to survive your journey, should you choose to enter a corn maze this fall.
Consider splitting up. It could save you time in the long run.
Be prepared. Make sure you bring something to eat. You never know how long you'll be inside the maze.
Approach the maze with confidence.
tea. It's just not cool. Siri, how do I get to the center of the corn maze?
Always wear sunscreen. Just because it's fall doesn't mean you won't burn.
Always be aware of your surroundings.
And remember to have fun.
That was terrific. The corn maze itself is what a wonderful place to go and what a fun thing to do. But that was especially terrific because it had Maureen in it. And Maureen, who was our news director, has left PACTV and on to other adventures that will use her skills. And we will miss her so much. And she and Walter did a fabulous job on that.
Yeah, she's going to be really dearly missed around here. She always had something intelligent to say and always was spreading so much knowledge, and it seemed like a pretty good story to go out on, though. It
was, and the one thing that none of us will ever forget is Maureen's laugh. It rang through everywhere. And we'll miss you, Maureen, and best of luck.
It's true. Those colorful lobsters that sprinkle the Plymouth Waterfront are saying farewell at the end of November. The public art display that started out as a creative fundraiser has over the past 2 years become not only a local attraction, but a tourist attraction. The overwhelming response to the news of the lobsters leaving lets us know one thing: they will be missed. We stopped by King Collision for one last hurrah to say thank you to the artists and sponsors of those lovable lobsters.
We are very excited to be here at King Collision tonight for our farewell lobster party. Basically, tonight is for our artists and sponsors, the ones who dedicated their time and financial investment in the project. So we're just honoring them. We're saying goodbye to the lobsters in November, and we're sad to do so, but we thought it was very suiting to have it here at King Collision for Rocking Lobster and have a rock concert.
I reached out to the chamber and I asked them, what are you doing to, celebrate the lobsters? And, they were throwing some ideas around. So I said, hey, why don't we, throw a party for you and for the artists? Because I really wanted to celebrate the artists. We had such amazing artists that created our lobster for us. They went above and beyond. They created this over-the-top lobster that we're so proud of, and we're so grateful to them. So we really just wanted to, do what we could to give back to them and create, just a fun night to celebrate the artists and celebrate, this successful arts display.
It's a little bittersweet. I was hoping that they would stay forever. As far as the lobsters, what do they kind of represent to me on the waterfront? I feel like Plymouth has the pilgrims and all of the things that go along with the Thanksgiving celebration and, the landing of the pilgrims and Plymouth Rock. But I think the lobsters are just kind of an uplifting, upbeat kind of thing. It brings people to the town. It's just a great program, and I hate to see it end, really, personally.
The lobsters are not going away, so to speak, but some businesses did purchase the lobsters, some businesses leased the lobsters. So the businesses that purchase the lobsters have the opportunity to showcase at their business. Maybe they're public residences, so you'll be driving around and walking around and still seeing some of the lobsters. However, the lobsters that are leased will be up for auction in January 2019 and will be auctioned off, and who knows where they'll end up.
We are honored to have in studio today Academy Award-winning actor Chris Cooper and Marianne Leone, a film and television actress of The Sopranos fame, but she's also a screenwriter, essayist, and author. Welcome.
Hello.
Hi.
Today we're here to talk about the documentary film Intelligent Lives. And both of you were executive producers on the film, and Chris, you're also the narrator of the film. Intelligent Lives, according to the director Dan Habib, is a catalyst to transform the label of intellectual disability from a life sentence of isolation to a life of possibility for the most segregated people in America. Now, the most segregated people in America are the people that have either intellectual or physical disabilities. You met Dan Habib through
the Federation for Children with Special Needs.
Okay, so
where he
talk
was
about
being
that.
honored. We have a fund set up there, the Jesse Advocacy Fund, for low-income parents or parents for whom English is a second language, who need an advocate when they are trying to include their children in the school.
And
we met Dan and his family about 10 years ago through Federation. It was I think it was a little awards event. And over the years, Dan would take his family down to Cape, you know, in the summer.
Yeah.
And always, year after summer, Dan would call on his way back and say, could we, you know, drop by, spend the afternoon around the pool?
Yeah.
And it's just exchanging year after year grievances and how our kids have, you know, moved along and improved and, you know, one step forward, two steps back in some cases.
And watching his son Samuel grow, and you know, he did he's an award-winning documentarian, Dan Habib, who made this film, and he made a film about Samuel when he was little called Including Samuel, which has played on PBS and elsewhere.
Yeah.
So.
And together, did he contact you about Intelligent Lives?
Yeah, I think he did. Over the years, he did contact me. This was, I was kind of impressed with a long process this documentary took. Several years for him.
We're used to it going much faster. You know, when you do a film, it's like you get the film.
Because these kids are in different parts of the country, and he would have to shoot out 150-mile drive to catch something. You know, and then 3 months later catch something else. But it was
I love how he wove the story of the three that are in, which we'll see the trailer in a minute, how he wove that with your voiceovers that had a lot of the historical information in the background about the entire subject.
It was news to me, and our son had gone through some of that very testing. And I will say that the terminology when we were working with Jess was so antiquated. You know, it sounded like, oh, this is dialogue from the 20s or 30s. You know?
Right. And it's coming every day. It's coming further and further into the light because of things like this. Now, Jesse, A Mother's Story, which is a book that you wrote about your wonderful son Jesse, which is really kind of he's the engine that drives your emotions, your heart, your everything.
Well, Jesse did not have an intellectual disability, but testing has been used to marginalize people, all people with disabilities, and immigrants for 100 years. As Chris points out in the film, 100 years ago when immigrants came here, 79% of Italians, 80% of Jews, and 81% of Russians were deemed to be intellectually inferior because they would hold up a book in English, and then when you couldn't read it, you were intellectually disabled. And kind of the same thing is happening now. And we were interested from this perspective, although the three young adults that Dan follows in this all have intellectual disabilities. And all are living very fulfilled lives.
Absolutely. So why don't we're going to watch the trailer and then we'll talk about it on the other side.
Our son Jesse had cerebral palsy. When Jesse was 4, the neurologist told us that he would never be intellectually normal. We fought to have Jesse included in general education.
The IQ test measures a very limited potential of our brain to learn and misses all the other stuff.
Naomi, Micah, and Nair, 3 young adults with disabilities, unlocking their potential.
You happy with your tip you made?
Yeah.
You know what you're gonna buy with this?
Cell phone.
I'm getting a 9-degree certificate in disability studies.
Nair is not afraid to freely express himself.
Do you want to go to college?
Yeah.
When people say, why is your school successful? Because we include students with significant disabilities. We don't use IQ tests to inform us at all.
Not long ago, IQ testing was used to fuel a pseudoscience known as eugenics, which called for eliminating the menace of the feeble-minded. Institutions like Willowbrook more closely resembled prisons than schools.
We have to broaden our understanding of what intelligence is. I want my son to go into a world where he's looked at not there as a tall black guy who's acting weird.
Whether it's a police officer or a civilian, you do wonder what's going to happen.
I think because of Naomi's unconditional love for what she does, it's good for everyone.
Are you on Facebook?
No.
Okay.
My parents don't think that's safe.
What do you remember most about today?
Be ourselves.
Be ourselves.
Can any attempt to measure intelligence predict a person's value or ability to contribute meaningfully to the world?
I'm telling you, I watched that a number of times, and what struck me was how much I don't know, how much I need to be educated, and how inspired I was by not only the three that they followed in the film, who were just a riot, all three of them, but the families and the caretakers and the schools and everything that works together.
Right.
For these children, and they're all or young adults, and they're all individual. No one's cookie cutter.
Right. Right.
And I think Dan will give examples that the comeback from that is, well, this is going to be so expensive, it's going to cost so much money. And Dan has one particular story in the Deep South. I believe he had a community that worked beautifully, and it didn't cost that much money.
Right. No, they were fully included. And
right. Yeah. There's a school in here, the Henderson School, that is highlighted in this film, which is just, it's an inclusive school.
Yes.
And it's just, that's their norm.
I met Mr. Henderson, the principal, who was blind, and who
Really?
wrote a book. Yeah, we were on book tour together.
What a
we
riot.
did a book event together, and he was the, the impetus for this.
Yep.
And I think inclusion, it does nothing but benefit us to be with people of differing abilities and from different places. It does nothing but, I think that the kids who went to school with Jesse would tell you that it made a difference to see someone differently abled learning. It impacted their lives, and it made a difference.
And I'm sure they were invested in everything that Jesse succeeded in. Was a success for them too.
Well, I mean, he wasn't there for them. He was there for himself to learn. But the side effects of that was that he made friends among the able-bodied, and they took from him and he took from them.
Right.
And it was from his very first little friend that he met, Adam, in first grade, who never, the way kids look at things, I mean, who said to his mother, there's a kid who hates coloring as much as I do, and I want him to come and play with me. And he never mentioned that Jesse was quadriplegic and nonverbal and using a wheelchair.
Nope.
It was about the fact that Jesse didn't like to color either.
Yep.
So
that was their common bond.
So I thought that was, and I
to
still
realize that Jesse's best friend in grade school, high school, is now a linguistics professor.
Yeah, he's getting his PhD in language.
And they still stay in touch. Lovely.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. And in the film, there's a lot of historical information in the film, which is really kind of depressing. The way that the feeble-minded, as they were called, and everything was based on IQ tests. And Rose Kennedy, of the Kennedy clan, was retarded, as they put her, and she ended up going away to a facility. But John F. Kennedy created a commission on this, and then Eunice Kennedy Shriver
at Eunice's urging. Eunice was the total impetus behind all of this. There's a great new book out by my friend Eileen McNamara about Eunice Kennedy, and you see that she was the driving force behind
the Special Olympics.
And behind this task force.
All of this,
all of it.
Right.
Yeah.
One thing that people need to understand that I got from this book was how much work, or not work, but how much community you need
Right.
to support the family as well as the person with the either intellectual or physical disability. Talk about the importance of community and how that helped you help Jesse.
It happened to us with Jesse. I find it's hard to find words for it. It happened to us. This was the norm for us, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm sure for people looking outside, it's like, oh, the adjustments you have to make. Well, once you got it down, you know, day-to-day activities, this becomes very normal.
It helped that we were an eccentric family and that we're both artists. So I mean, obviously we're traveling a lot.
Yep.
We're doing, and Jesse just became another eccentric part of our eccentric family.
Right.
And
but I mean, as far as getting him into the school system.
Oh, well, that was a battle.
Which was a battle.
Yeah.
That was a
and
battle.
that was where the community came together, and that's where
That's
people, you and people coexisted together to create this movement to say this is not right.
Absolutely, absolutely, and it was very difficult to get together with the other parents, and I will never forget. I couldn't get the names of other parents who had kids with disabilities because they cited privacy issues.
Yeah.
But basically, it was a way of dividing us. So I went to the ARC. Which at the time was the Association for Retarded Citizens. And I asked which parents had complained to them about the school system.
Yep.
And I wrote a letter to each one, and I got a room at the library. Libraries are important for community, people.
Yes,
Very important for community. I got a room at the library where it happened Tom O'Brien, who at the time was our representative, had a little table set up with "I am your representative, come to me," which seems like something out of a fairy tale, but actually happened because he is a good guy who actually took seriously the fact that he represented us, the people.
Yeah.
So the parents a group of parents arrived, and we started exchanging information, and that's when the heat in the room went up, and he asked us what was going on, and he became a champion of ours. He was our first champion.
Yep.
And we determined from that we needed representation on the school board because there was no one on the school board with a child with a disability. So if you're not there, you kind of don't understand what the problems are. And we also said that we would use the press to get
your story out.
Get our story out.
Yeah.
And it was a long haul to, to work toward that because the special ed director at the time, who shall remain nameless, said, he is no longer the SPED director, said that we should basically pack our kids' bags and send them off to Mass Hospital School. Now, I'm not putting down parents who make this choice, but for us it was not a choice. And Jesse was 6 at the time. We weren't going to pack his bags and send him off. And furthermore, we knew, I was one of these mothers that people eye-rolled about because I knew that Jesse was intelligent, whether or not he was verbal, whether or not he could use physically his body. And finally, when he was tested correctly, he was in the 99th percentile, and he became, once he was included in school, he became an honor roll student.
Yeah.
He became a Latin scholar and
wrote beautiful poetry.
All the rest of it.
Yeah.
But what this film shows is it's not just for kids like Jess, who would be in the 99th percentile. These kids all benefited from being included in society, and society benefited
too
from having them included. All of us can appreciate Nair's incredible art. Micah is co-teaching with people who want to be in special education, and what better than to have someone with a disability showing you what that's like. And Naomi is in this fantastic group of people at this beauty school, bringing absolute light and joy to everyone she encounters.
Right.
And that in particular, Naomi's story in particular, tells me where a more immediate community comes and steps in to to help.
You mean her brother?
Yeah, they showed the Naomi in the middle, and then all her world and all the circle of people that were safe and good and she interacted with, and that was an education right there. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
You don't think about that, but that was necessary for Naomi.
Right.
So the movie Intelligent Lives is all over the country. It's I think I counted 40 states.
Right.
That it's
Dan is tireless.
Yeah.
Tireless. And
so there's going to be a screening at the Regal Cinema in Kingston on the Thursday the 18th of October at 7:30 at night, and you're going to be there.
I am.
And it's sold out.
I know.
Yeah, I bought 10 tickets and I'm giving them to certain people that I want to go there. And what is the whole objective of when people leave that theater, what do you want them to know, to do, to feel, to say?
Well, I think people, the first thing that happens is that people ask us, well, how can I help? And I always say the first thing is to presume competence of people you meet with disabilities. Presume competence and proceed from there. And, you know, I know that there are people who, you know, think that people with disabilities are going to hold their kid back from, I don't know, fast track to Harvard or whatever. It's more important, you want to say to them, it's more important that your child understand differences and comprehend differences and be comfortable with differences for whatever path that they take in life. That is much more important than becoming, I don't know, a stock trader.
Or whatever. Yep. So the website, intelligentlives.org, will give you everything you need to know as far as the screenings, where they are, all kinds of additional information and support services. I'm really looking forward to it on the 18th. I'm thrilled that it's sold out, and I'm thrilled that we at PACTV can just be a small part of getting this message out that is so important.
Thank you
and
very
so
much.
beautifully spoken in this movie.
Thanks very much.
And can we end with a quote from Jesse?
Please.
He had many quotes. Jesse had many quotes. He was a poet. And one of my favorites is, "Courage is like one ant trying to cross a roaring stream. It may seem impossible, but you have to try." And that's what we all need to do every single day, is try to understand. And please, please see Intelligent Lives. Thank you both so much for joining us.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you.
Appreciate
and we'll have
it.
you on again.
Thank you.
Okay. And thank you for watching. If you want to see the show again, you can check out our website, and PCN is also on YouTube. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook to get up-to-date info. From all of us at PACTV, have a great week.